So Jim and Richard, you've been friends for a very long time, and you've shot together for a very long time, be it shooting side by side and coaching and shooting. But I believe you've got lots of stories I'm sure you've amassed over those years. Why don't you tell me the story about how you found yourself at a Russian competition in Moscow?
Well, it all started off, and he'd tell you about when we were on the field that Jesse Owen ran on. So Richard will explain to you what happened there.
I went on the track, the race track, where Jesse Owen won the gold medal at the Olympics in the stadium Hitler built. And myself and Jim, we challenged each other to a race, and I was winning the race, and my shoe fell off. So he overtook me. But that was my excuse anyway, the shoe fell off. So.
It wasn't, the shoe didn't fall off at all. He just made that as an excuse because I beat him. So I was right up behind him, and I just what I left him in a trail of smoke, and that's the way it happened.
Yeah.
But anyway, we went on to shoot in the World Championships, and South Africa turned up, and we had a bit of a problem there that we had to pull out of the games. But we had a choice of whether to stay in or what not to stay in. But America stayed in, England stayed in, and all that sort of stuff. I found that apartheid was an evil, and I wasn't going to have anything to do with it. And I quoted from to Shakespeare. That Tom Shakespeare was the coach at the time, and I said I'd read up on the history and things like that. And the problem with discrimination against black people is terrible. I said there was a guy called Hamilton Houston, a black activist in the First World War. He was a gunnery officer, and he found that the discrimination was terrible against him. So he decided what he would do would be to educate himself and be a voice for the people that had no voice. So the fact that we pulled out of it, that was to say to people that apartheid was wrong, and we pulled out of it. And then Richard will tell you how we got to go to Moscow at that particular time. So you can fill him in on that.
Yeah, I was only barely home a day or so. My suitcase was still on the bed, unpacked, and my wife said to me, "You'd want to be unpacking your suitcase." And I got a phone call from the Irish Olympic Council congratulating us on our stance regarding South Africa, and as a reward we're sending you to Russia, all fares paid by Olympic carrier plane, and we'll be paid 20 rubles a day pocket money, and you'll be well looked after, and one of the top hotels in the world in the Rosseo in Red Square. And that's how we ended up at the Spartakeri game. They actually shot on the Olympic field there. One I should have been on for the following year. But Jim shot on the Olympic field the following year.
I shot on there.
Did very well.
I shot very well there. No, I didn't do very well. I came second last.
But still that's good though. Did you get there? Someone had to come last anyway.
Yeah, but I didn't come last, second last. But anyway, I was very proud of coming second last, But I had no excuses, because I made mistakes in the early stages, and you have to settle for. You have to bite the bullet and accept what you've done. But anyway, we had a great time in Moscow. But going back into.
But sorry, who was on the team then? Who went to Russia with you guys?
Well, the first one we had on the left-hand side, and it was Noel Mulligan. The coach was Eddie Kinane. Pauline was the team manager. And the really good-looking fellow with the beard is me. And the ugly-looking fellow standing beside me was Richard. And the other guy then, Willie Swords. Richard's a little bit better looking than Willie. But anyway, that's the way it worked out.
Well, I can't see in this picture, but did you get your shoe back, Richard?
Yes, I got my shoe back, but I stuck to my story anyway.
Yeah. You didn't have a rematch since?
No, we never ran again.
Never ran again, no.
We're too old.
We should have been out on the shooting range practicing instead of running on the track.
Yeah. But Richard sold all his jeans over there.
He did.
Yeah.
Why is that? No jeans over
I don't
Russia.
mind them. I didn't know. There were Russians looking for Wrigley chewing gum, and they couldn't get any of that. And they were looking for, what kind of jeans were they looking for?
Levi's.
Levi's jeans, yeah. Of course, I didn't wear jeans in those days, to be honest.
And you
But they
had,
were looking for them anyway.
but you had old jeans from Pennies, and you told them
Not
that they
at
were.
all.
You
No,
told them that
it's
they were
not
Levi's, you know.
No way. It was bad enough getting told off in the lift by the KGB.
Well, who was that? Whose fault was that?
That was your fault.
What did I do? All I was
They
doing
were
was.
coming down in the lift, and he goes on about the KGB and all this other stuff. We heard a voice booming out of a microphone somewhere. What seemed to be the matter, comrades?
Yes.
That shut us up.
Mhm.
Quick.
No, I was making a report about him. Richard Delaney was being disrespectful to the, what do you call it, to the cause and all that. And then I give a speech about Richard, and I do one about Willie Swords, and I was doing one about Mulligan. And I said, Eddie Kinane saying, I'm making these reports out there. But we didn't know that we were being recorded in the lifts.
Exactly.
So we were lucky to get out of Moscow.
Yeah. Well, it was a very drab place at the time. The only thing we could see from the window of the hotel was the changing of the guard. That was very spectacular.
Yeah.
But I tried to take a picture of that, and some soldier held a gun up to me like that.
Well, we had a guide coming around with us from the Politburo. The one who like he was a special looking after us and things like that. And he brought us everywhere. But the thing was, when we went anywhere, he pushed all the Russians out of the way and pushed us all forward. We were like, what do you call it, superheroes. We were like celebrities.
That's right, yeah, we were. Yeah. Everyone was looking for our autograph.
No, it was money.
Yeah.
Well, I know better than anybody that Jim
One
can walk
Russian-
you into walls.
Yeah.
So was there any other tight situations that you've
There was.
been out on?
This Russian guy came up to me, and he was looking at my, I shouldn't be telling you this now, but he was looking at my bow, and he was looking at my arrows, and his tongue was hanging out. And he said he'd give me his girlfriend for a week if I give him those at the end of the competition. No, I said nothing more about it, but I ended up in the Irish, in the Sunday Independent, but it mentioned an Archer, blah, blah, blah. But how the one, he must have reported me or something.
I actually reported him.
Yeah. But that's the one
Ungentleman, what do you call
funny
it,
incident.
behavior. But you know what we did? We gave all our arrows away to them.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, because some of the guys we were shooting there, and they were shooting massive scores. They had their bows held together with pieces of wire. Unbelievable.
And they were shooting great.
And they were shot fantastic scores. So we knew then that we got introduced to Edmir Eshev. We got introduced to Balov, the great coach. Maximov, all those guys. And while we were there, we got massive information on coaching and what we should do and all that sort of stuff. And that was the first time we had an introduction to periodization. It was the Russians who started periodization. That went on, long term, short term, and we were explained that. We were explained about all that. And then Harry Jacobs, which was our coach after that, a massive coach from Holland, he came in and he used the same system of long-term, short-term and medium-term shooting. But we picked all that up in Russia when we were there. So we picked up a massive amount of stuff. So equipment didn't really make a difference.
No, I suppose from what I've heard you guys talking about and from my own experience of hearing the stories, a big thing you've probably taken from all of the years shooting is this idea of camaraderie. How much you've learned from everybody and taking things from compound and putting it into the crossbow and taking things from crossbow and putting it into the recurve shooting, and taking Bashov and Harry Jacobs and all this kind of thing has been instrumental in all the lessons you've learned up to this point. Would you say so?
Yeah, we've learned a massive amount. I understand. We've forgotten an awful lot.
We got to see the opera there and the ballet.
Yeah, we went to the ballet, didn't we?
And did we see the Sputniks?
We did, and Willie Swords, what do you call it, claim to fame. Didn't tell you about that.
No.
We went to a disco. Okay.
Did he? Willie?
Yeah, myself, Willie, and that. You didn't go because you were kind of a bit of a stick in the mud, But myself and Willie went anyway. It was your knee, yeah. Myself and Willie went, So Willie's and all the what you call the Ballet girls are all there. So Willie Swords' claim to fame now is he danced with the Bolshoi. But you missed out on that.
I missed out
because
on
you
that.
were very straight-laced. That was your problem.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but that's the way things go. But then yourself and Willie danced with the boy child
Mhm.
today, you know. And poor old Willie's passed on.
Yeah.
He was a great character.
But
Yeah,
you
it
guys
is-
have no signs of slowing down now. You went to Turin last year,
Yeah.
Mm.
and where did you go last year, Richard, for shooting?
Last year I was in Germany, believe it or not, with a team,
Mhm.
and I think I was fifth or sixth or something in the competitions. I didn't do as well as I would have liked, but in the match play team event, we did well. We beat the Australians. I think we ended up fourth in that. But the Estonians fielded 2 teams.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, apparently we had enough Irish people there. You could field 2 Irish teams
Mhm.
and have a chance for a medal. But it was still a good performance from the lads, you know.
So
You've done
next
very-
year,
Yeah.
my next year is taking up crossbow, getting you to the next competition,
Yeah.
and getting myself to Tokyo. So
Yeah.
this is what
Yeah.
I have to deal with for the next year, is
Yeah.
it?
Well,
Yeah. Well, anyway, we've been pals for a very long time, and between the two of us, we never had a crossword.
never had a crack.
Never had a crossword.
Even when my poor wife used to be sick, he'd come and see her with me, and we'd go back to my house, and he'd give me a list of what to get in the supermarket, and he'd cook for me.
Mhm.
Do you want to tell you about his daughters, will I?
Have we got a long enough tape for this? I'm not sure if we do.
No, I'm telling you, this is terrible. I said to us, have you got any gravy?
Mhm.
They said, yeah. And they hadn't. They had coffee. And they made the gravy out of coffee, and we nearly poisoned us.
Mind him.
So, and they never live it down.
Yeah.
do they? Yeah.
Well, you won't let them.
No, but we knew them from that side,
Mhm.
and they
Yeah.
knew Paul from that side. So it was a great time. you know.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's our story.
Mhm.
But if anybody wants any more story or any more lies, just get in touch with Richard himself.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber.
And is there anything else you want to tell everybody today that you didn't get to say yet? Any lessons
Not
or?
so much. What about Edinburgh? All this skirt pulling the women were doing.
Well, that was
Yeah, I don't think this
me
video is
and
long enough
my
for
what
that
do you call
story.
it, that was me and my what do you call it, weaker moments. But anyway, we went to the what would they call that competition we went
The
in?
Euro Nations. I think they called it 5 Nations at the time.
5 Nations.
Now
We
called
had
Euro Nations.
Germany, we had all those things there, and Richard was on the team. We came second in that.
Mhm.
We won, and Richard pulled it out of the bag with his 50-meter score, and I was second overall in that, and we came in and we won.
Good team effort.
It was good, and Mick Nagle was there. A guy called Mick Nagle was there as well, and we done very, very well in Falkirk. But the food there was terrible, wasn't it?
The food was desperate, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Scotch can't cook. But all they used to do was what do you call it?
Haggis.
Haggis. That's the stuff. Yeah,
I guess,
yeah, yeah. And playing the bagpipes.
Yeah.
And you know the definition of
bagpipes.
you know the definition of
Yeah.
what you call it, a gentleman, Scotchman, man who can play the bagpipes but doesn't.
Okay. You know what? It seems to be a universal thing for archers. They all hate the food at competitions. It doesn't matter what competition, what country you go to, everybody hates the food. How did the shoot go? Oh, food was terrible. Nothing about, shooting or anything. It's the food is the big takeaway.
And that's Ruby. Ruby likes to get into all the pictures. Okay, but that's it. Now we can't answer anymore on the grounds that we may incriminate ourselves.
Jim is instrumental in this one. We ran away to the north. We were going to some show in the north, and we were in bandit country and everywhere. And we slept in a tent, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you were frying the rashers and everything out in the rain.
yeah.
You could hear the sizzle of the rashers and all that. And you said to me, "What did you bring, Richard?" You see, I said to my wife, "No, I want to bring some chicken and this and that and the other." No, she says, "You pull in somewhere and buy something, a breast of chicken on your way or whatever you want." She gave me a jar of marmalade anyway. And Jim got the jar of marmalade and he threw it across the ditch. And I told my wife when I got home, and she said, "That was a perfectly good jar of marmalade."
We brought Willie Soy for Willie Swords brought what you call it, chicken, and I brought rashers and sausages, and somebody else brought what you call it, milk and tea, and we brought a jar of marmalade.
And we had a new saying afterwards in a shoot. They won't say, "I'll beat you today. I'll marmalade you today."
So,
Very good. Very good.
okay. I think we'll call it a day. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah, that was very good. Well done, Kerry.